Hey everybody, Sujan Patel here from Mailshake. I'm super pumped. I got Michael Benson from Companywell. We're going to talk a lot about how to use Companywell and Mailshake to automate your list building. Welcome, Michael. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great, Susan. How are you?
Great, great. Well, first of all, what the heck is Companywell? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So CompanyWell is a way to automate your list building processes. Basically, we have large amounts of servers on our back end actively crawling the internet and other public forums. So we're basically doing the heavy lifting for you in terms of verifying emails, finding contacts, many filters that maybe you wouldn't necessarily find within your own database or your own CRM. Things like finding what technologies companies use or revenue or how much they've raised, things like that. So that you can basically filter down contacts so that instead of kind of doing a spray and pray approach in terms of, hey, I found a list of CEOs, hopefully some stick, you can actually build hyper-targeted lists within our platform. And then obviously the reason why we're talking today is to talk about the Mailshake integration. So we have tons of integrations like Mailshake where you can click a button and list is right in a campaign and you're ready to go.
Love it, love it. I love the automation and making it quick to go into a Mailshake campaign, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to use tools, technology, and even kind of manually prune your list to make sure it's the most accurate, up to date. Because this is really how you shoot yourself in the foot with deliverability, long term and short term. But anyways, let's talk about what the heck does automating your list building actually mean, and how is it different than what people may be doing now?
Yeah, sure. So basically, with Companywell or in general of just automating your list building, I focus on the fact of never dealing with an Excel. So if you're viewing an Excel or viewing a CSV, there are ways to automate that process. So there are a ton of familiar tools out there that might kind of scrape LinkedIn, like a duck soup or something like that, that is very good. And it does make sense for maybe very specific reasons. But for example, if you're ever looking at an Excel or trying to clean up data, that's kind of a big no-no in terms of the way that I look at trying to automate something. So, for us, essentially what we're doing is first deduping across any kind of data sets that you have so that you're kind of not repeating a process. And then with a couple of clicks, integrating that into actually where you will be doing the work. So that's kind of how to at least look at the way to automate this building.
Love it, love it. The less time I can spend in touching a CSV in Excel, whether it's a sort function and just kind of weeding things out, the better it is. I think that's
Yeah.
people always say going from finding the contact and kind of building your list to kind of sending a campaign to getting a sale. It's a long process, but I think I found the most trying process, the hardest or the most painful is not the copy, because there's lots of
Sure.
good copy. You can hire great people. You can come up with kind of feed. You know how to sell if you're going and selling through email. It's building that list, getting it right, spending the hours and hours, painful hours most of the time
Right.
to kind of prove to make sure everything is right. And I frankly, what I see most of the time is people just don't put in the effort because it's so grueling, right?
Sure. And
And
the
so
easy
it's
part also is right. So a lot of people just kind of take first name and email address and make sure that looks good. And that's something that's somewhat easy to automate, sure, even without an Excel. But where the true automation gets in is some of these custom fields that you're working within your email copy. And obviously you guys talk about that all the time, where the more customization that you can add, the higher open rates are, higher conversion rates are, reply rates, everything like that. And so that's where that you can always be improving your automation around kind of those technology and tags that basically are helping drive conversions more.
Love it, love it. It's all about personalization, including that information in the email, and obviously you have to have that, make sure it's correct.
Yeah.
So when should you not? When shouldn't you automate your list building? When does it not work? Or when is it not a fit?
Right. Yeah. So I basically kind of look at it in two different forms, right? So maybe when you're starting out with cold email or even starting in a new industry or target, right? That's when you might not want to automate something where one, you're either kind of like starting out and trying to optimize your email templates, right? So obviously you're probably always running some sort of A/B test, but really early on, if you are targeting an industry and you're like, okay, what messaging is resonating? That's when you don't want to say, okay, I all of a sudden found 2,000 people. Let me just blast them with kind of, this one messaging. You want to hone in on that template. And then once you have something that's like actually hitting, that's consistently hitting, most importantly, like within the same industry. So like, obviously you want to tie the industry and the email copy together. That's when you want to actually start automating. So that's kind of one. You also don't want to kind of automate list building if the niche, like the industry is so specific, right? So something could be like your product is only meant for like senior finance managers at a Series A company, where the market just gets smaller and smaller. Like if your total addressable market, say, is only 10 or 30,000 contacts total, that's when you want to start really just trying to make one-on-one personalizations there. But there are tons of time where like automating list building makes sense. So for example, we have clients that are targeting marketing managers or human resource directors. I mean, there's millions of those titles out there. So once you have email copy that makes sense for those specific titles and those specific industries, that's when you can start automating it, where you could use Companywell in the sense of saying, okay, building one list of every Monday and just hitting a button into the same template that we already know that works, is something that like where our clients are seeing a lot of success.
Love it. Love it. I can't emphasize enough how much you should do things manually until you figure out what works, right?
Right.
If you get too early to automate, what you end up automating is something that doesn't work, or you don't know what part of which is even worse, is what you don't know what part doesn't work. Is it the wrong audience? Is it do you say the wrong things? Is it your cadence? Whatever, right? You don't know what works until you go try it. So I love it. Like how you're just saying, start doing
small.
it manually. And yeah, start small, figure it
You
out,
can
get
always
it to work.
scale up as long as the industry size and total addressable market size is there. And obviously that's a whole nother like part of a startup. But focusing on getting an email copy that is getting above 50% open rates and above 10% reply rates, small things like that, where you can start building your own benchmarks internally and then scale up from there and use something like us.
Love it. Yeah. And totally. I also, on the other flip side, is like, if your TAM or total addressable market or your customer base is so small, right? Like if you're targeting, we had a customer at Mailshake targeting, no joke, long distance trucking, like hauling from, cross country or even internationally. First of all, like leads would be like $10, $15 an email address or a successful phone number. And they're like, I'll pay whatever. And it's like, hey, I don't think this is accessible, because like it's not like they're on LinkedIn or like, it's just a different cohort of people that you have to find different ways to kind of tackle it. So it's just, they had to kind of pay for their industry, or like there was like brokers or industry trade shows that like that's who sold the list, and like that's how you get that information. There's just no shortcut, and there were like 10,000 across the world. So
we
it's
had
just
a client
sometimes hard to get
recently.
that information.
They're only looking for e-commerce companies that only sell t-shirts, right? It's very, very specific, and for something like that, it obviously might not make sense, but obviously there are such large industries out there that do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of wrap this up. Walk me through the kind of the outline. Like, okay, you're building a new list through Companywell. Like, what's how do you go about doing this from kind of start to finish? Just a quick overview would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're trying to really like simplify the process. Like our UX UI team is literally testing, like when we develop this thing, basically testing down to like how many clicks does it take to get an email into your CRM or an outbound email tool. And so basically the process that we take is basically you create a new list. Our platform's organized into lists. So we also have things like company finders and things like that, where maybe it's not necessarily an email, but it helps you just do more research. But basically you create a people list, you kind of cull through all the filters that you specifically want, and we'll show you, the kind of total addressable market that we have in our database. And then from there, all you do is hit export and you just select the number of people that you want. And what's nice is on our people contacts, we have over 30 customizable fields that we try to grab, whether, the standard first name, last name, but, location, technologies that they might use at their role, things like that. And then that actually automatically spits into Mailshake. So on export, you can actually just create a new campaign or add it to an existing campaign. So we really just break it down into those two things. And then, if you click add to campaign within Mailshake, basically what it does is it automatically creates one within Mailshake. And then we basically spit out a URL where you click and it automatically redirects you. And then you can basically build out your email copy directly within Mailshake. So trying to be pretty straightforward and transparent there, but we're always happy to help as well.
Love it. So obviously lots of advantages here with Companywell. You get direct integration. You can really much build the list and then send it to a campaign in Mailshake. So saving lots of time, and be sure to check out the notes below, because Companywell is offering a really slick deal. So you don't want to miss out on that discount. So definitely look at the notes below. Thank you for joining. Where can people where can people go to learn more, test out the tool, tell us how they can get hold of you.
Great. Yeah. Well, first, thanks so much for the time and the opportunity. I've actually been, I kind of, before the call, actually, I checked like our user ID. I'm in the low thousands for Mailshake. So I've been around for a while. So it was fun to chat with you. So you guys can check us out at companywell.co, or, if you want to reach out to me personally, my name's Mike Benson, Mike at companywell.co. And thanks so much for the time.